in, and this is something that we cannot stand for future generations of Stuyvesant students. So what Decine and I plan on doing is implementing our scraping platform. Essentially, every year, the student union makes back a certain amount of money from sing and other events that are almost guaranteed to bring back money. So we will use, that is the base of our funds. Every year, that money generates revenue, roughly about 30%. We will use this 30% to fund clubs and expenses that we don't expect to get paid back. And also, a portion of that revenue will go back into the base so that we have a larger base. The base will be used to fund those events that always bring back money consistently, so that even every year the base grows and we have more revenue to spend towards clubs and pubs. Thank you.
Same question. Do you guys, would you prefer if it were here? Is it better to see the map?
It doesn't matter.
So same question. Go.
Let's not talk so much. Don't have so many words. It's very simple how to make money. First of all, we continue the programs we have right now, such as seeing Cox events. And then we tag along some new ideas. For example, instead of paying clubs, giving them funds to continue what they're doing, we cooperate with clubs for the school store. We sell stuff together, we encourage innovations in design, and then we make money together. So what that saves is less funding provided, more money paid. Another way is cooperating with nearby businesses and shops, cooperating and getting advertisement fees by giving them advertisement within school. For example, within the bulletin boards, online, and then in return we get a lot of revenue from outside.
Thank you. Again, same question. Ready, set, go.
All right, thank you. So clearly what the SU has been doing for years has worked really well. I look back at the budget information from 2 years ago where they had a $170,000 budget. At the end of the year, they suffered a $60,000 deficit and were left with $90,000. My question is, how did we build up all that money in a single year and lose all that? What we're running on is the fact that we have a platform full of conservative policies in regards to the budget. So by saving the money through auditing clubs that aren't using the money properly, making sure that we're not spending money on dances that we can't make back, we're conserving the money that we are building up through and building it up through ways that have worked for Stuyvesant since its inception.
We want to utilize the school store, additionally, because a lot of school apparel is sold online, and the school doesn't really capitalize on that. We want to have a small royalty percentage that the school will take in, based on these designs that will make it easier for students to purchase these designs through the school rather on Facebook, where many students can't access them, and simultaneously increase budget for the school and for clubs and pubs.
Thank you.
Okay, this is another question going out to everybody. How are you going to prevent? Yes, anybody responsive? Okay. And how many years? Two. Okay.
And I have a question. So what's the policy on responses? How do you go about providing a response? And if we have a response, we can stand up after.
We're going to do the same second, yeah.
So what's the fundamental issue when it comes to student union financing is that every student union in the past and every single union president, every candidate here fails to look at the big picture, fails to analyze what the issue actually is, fails to look at all the money that we have, how we're spending it, and how we're making this money back. They fail to recognize that, and that's what we do. We're the first ones almost ever to actually recognize what the problems are and actually build a platform that pretty much stabilizes us, right? We need to stabilize the SU budget. That's what the key is when it comes to this issue.
Also, touching on some of the points that were brought up by the other candidates, they talked about not losing money on school dances. That's something that Decine and I will work very closely with the caucuses to ensure it doesn't happen. When they come with us with the conception of an idea for a dance, we'll work with them to set an action plan and with their estimated budgets so that we can ensure that we're not making any, running any debt, as well as auditing clubs. Every year we're looking to have the end of the year club roundup, where we get all the items that the clubs have spent money on throughout the year and kind of bring them back to the SU to make sure that they're there for future clubs. In the school store, I'm glad that you brought that up. I was working on Niels with this, and as well as Kai Chen my CFO, and we just opened it up with help of the Alumni Association. It was open today, and I think it was very successful. Okay, yeah, we're working with the Alumni Association, so we're building upon the relationships that we already have to build the SU budget for future generations of Stuyvesant students. Thank you.
Any responses from them? Do you have the responses?
Yeah. So CETA and MAC pride themselves on their 5 years of experience in the student union, and Anna and I would like to ask them why, if they've had 5 years together in the student union, have they ran deficits in the past? They say that all of a sudden that this year is going to be different, even after the loss of Jack Hahn, when Eddie Zilber ran and Kieran Parker were president, then Kieran Parker and John Ong, then John Ong and Matt So. They say that this year, for some reason, is going to be different. They failed the students year after year, and the fact is they're here again saying that something's going to be different. We have no reason to believe that they're going to actually change this year. We have no reason to believe that this year is going to be any different than any other year when we left students in the dark, but the majority of students having no reason to believe in the student union.
It's also kind of particular to consider that the store was open today, the day of very timely for the election.
Okay.
So they talk about when Eddie Zilber ran and Kieran Parker lost money, guess who were the ones that suffered from this? It was us. It was the smaller caucuses that had to work to really build that money up. And Matt and I have worked together to really build up the student budget and make sure that we actually are making money. We had a 200% return on spring fling. We had a 179% return on our winter dance. These are returns that you don't see and you've never seen before. And we're bringing them in. We're the ones that are actually stabilizing the budget. We're bringing it back. That's what we're focused on.
Yeah, and to say that we've not made any actions to prevent this is just inaccurate. We've already secured Queller Prep donation of $10,000 to work with Dose Horrors and Tom's tutorials. We secured even more money for pubs and dances. So to say that we have not made any progress in this in the past is just inaccurate. As well, we were really critical about the budget this year. We've been looking at it very carefully, and we have some new ideas that I believe will stabilize the student union budget for the next generation.
We're going to make 1 minute 30 answer and response instead of 1 minute 2 minutes. So you can make your point in the answer and see how you love them responses. Okay. No, one
They got
response
two.
per answer.
We have to.
Yeah.
Because you called it out. Yeah. Okay. So again, we're going to a general question to all three, same format.
So for all three, I guess, how do you spread the news of SU measures or surveys like this to people who do not have a Facebook account?
So same order, you guys.
So we have a 3-point communication. Can I give you time?
Yeah.
Right. So we have a 3-point communication plan. One is brushing up in the foundation, the framework that we've built, and then getting in touch and setting up a mail server, an emailing server that will be able to email 3,500 students, and reaching out to you in person and getting your thoughts. First is laying out the framework that we've established this year, right? We've had online mailing lists, caucus hotlines, and all of these different things, and we've had technical glitches with this. And this is a framework you can't just destroy it so late in the year. We've established this framework, and we have to fix the nuts and bolts, we have to tighten the nuts and bolts, and we have to fix the technical glitches, and that's what we will work to do over the summer. When it comes to walking up to you and talking to you in person, we're gonna work to pretty much just walk up to you in person. We're gonna have a task force that's gonna be focused on coming up to you and talking to you, figure out what your problem is, much like what Austin has been doing throughout his campaign. And we're gonna be focused on setting up an email server. We have an email server that sends out about 400 emails right now, but that's not large enough for the 3,500 emails that we already have access to. And this is what we have to expand upon, and we have to really follow this up.
Question, Austin Barnett, ready, go.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Kazini and Matthew for working so hard on emails. Although we've been waiting for a whole year already. Things like this are very simple. They're very simple. You see all these bulletin boards around school, empty, with posters from months ago, on Earth Day, Valentine's Day. Those need to be taken off. We need to use those spaces to post everything, all the updates that students need to know. Because even if you have Facebook, you might not check it. Nobody always goes on the class of 2017, 18, 19. So what we need is not just internet. We need internet and physical updates on everything. Thank you.
Yeah, I think like what Austin said, great job on the email. It was an email advertised on Facebook, so we don't see how much of an effort it was made to communicate to the people who don't have a Facebook. Mohammed is here in the crowd today. He didn't even know about this debate until I walked up to him and told him about it, and he started cursing the SU for the fact that they don't try to communicate to the students. The matter of fact is this: there are 480 people who voted in last year's SU election. There's a reason why so many people have been left out of the SU, and it's still what's here today. When you go around, talk to students, and the majority just takes this election as a joke. That's what the SU has been putting out to students. That's what they have been in their lack of ability to communicate to students. We just can't continue with what we've already been doing. It hasn't worked, and we don't think that electing people who've already used this is going to solve the problem.
One of the ways we intend to improve communication with the student body is to create a position of student advocates in the student union, where they will go out to the student body, simply communicate, speak with their peers, people in their classes, and to those people, they will be able to report problems with homework policies, testing policies, and then report back to us. We'll be able to go to administration and resolve them.
And I mean, when you look at the promises that some of my fellow candidates have made, they promised to create a club bulletin board with information on clubs. They've created that. They've covered it entirely with newspapers. I don't know who really gets any sort of information from that. This just shows that they're all about talk, not about actually action, to bring students into the political process. They failed at that, and that's why we don't think they should be elected again. Thank you.
So on the comment that we've been waiting an entire year for emails, that's not true. We got the emails in November, but the SU IT department has been very weak this year and hasn't been able to establish a server and create a server that will be able to handle the massive amount of emails that we have to send out. I mean, I've been trying to do it, and I've gotten my account like deleted like 4 times because Gmail thinks I'm crazy. You can't blame us for the SU debate not being communicated with the BOE. I mean, it's not necessarily our fault that this happened because the BOE doesn't have access to our mailing list because they are separate from us.
Yeah. And whenever necessary to send out an email, despite the fact that we don't have the servers at the moment, we've communicated with Ms. Pedrick and Mrs. Zhang to get emails out when we were able to communicate effectively enough. Again, building upon the relationships that we've already established over the course of our time in SU. Additionally, to get more immediate feedback from direct students, we plan to create task forces. If you read our platform, you'll see that we're looking to have students, division of the student union, go out and speak to students individually to get their feedback, direct feedback on the issues of Stuyvesant.
These task forces are very important because essentially anyone can run them. You can run them, our candidates can run them, anyone can run them for any initiative they have. So we're going to really bring in everyone that wants to make Stuyvesant better and wants to make Stuyvesant better. And we're going to have an extremely efficient SU that we've never seen.
Yeah, anyone that's willing and wanting to improve the Stuyvesant community is welcome to in our student union. Thank you. Yeah.
So you're talking about task forces, emails, but what purpose are they serving? You're not actually trying to communicate with the student body. You're not trying to open the political process, make it more transparent. We intend to release minutes from all meetings, including SLT and executive board meetings, to the student body. Through these emails, through these websites, through these task forces. We want to publicize everything, including the budget information. Simultaneously, an essential part of our platform involves allowing students to come to these of course SLT meetings, but additionally the executive board meetings, which are currently not allowed for students.
Yeah, I can vividly remember when Matthew So and Justine sat by us. We were kicked out of an SU meeting for trying to attend it, doing our job as citizens of the school, trying to learn about what was going on in our student union. It's no wonder why they tried to kick us out of that meeting. After forcing our way back in, they spent the entire meeting talking about how much money they should allocate towards buying snow machines for the school. These are machines that shoot chemicals into the air that turn into snow, and then they proceeded to read. The Amazon comments regarding this product in foreign accents. This is your SU. I can vividly remember. I use this analogy a lot when talking to people. At the end of an SLT meeting, when I proposed an idea, and I was talking to one of the chairs of the SLT, and they said, "Hey, isn't that something that the SU can do?" There was a brief moment of silence. We all looked at each other, and they started laughing. You may think that regardless of what the students think, what the SU thinks about themselves, the people who work with the SU think they're a joke, and it's time that students stand up and take back the SU so it's something that can actually help the students.
Adam. Adam, could I respond to Cinemac, because that was a pretty direct attack at me being the president of the Student Union IT department. Could I respond to that?
Can you save it till we ask the better question?
I mean, sure, but that was a direct attack at me. So it's probably more timely to respond now. But sure. Okay.
Okay. So every 2 general questions, we go on to a ticket question, and it's going to be in that order. So to Matthew So and T. Chowdhury, how will SU director selection be more transparent and not reflect nepotism?
Okay. So again, it was a good idea actually with the OSIS information to pick the directors. We do plan on instituting that. But however, what we need to do is also conduct interviews with the director positions directly. I feel like there's not a lot that you get just from an application alone. You know, it's hard to summarize yourself in 500 words or less. So what we plan to do is also include Mr. Palazzo this year, as we have last year, in the process, get more of his feedback, as well as the feedback of the other student forum organizations, such as Arista, Big Civ, and Spectator, before we finalize our cabinet positions.
I mean, it's extremely important that we do these interviews and we do these interviews well, because we have to be able to test our applicants. We have to be able to make sure that they know what they're doing. Like, yeah, I don't want to talk about the IT director, but this is something that I'm very focused on, making sure that our IT director is well informed about what the SFTP servers are, how they function, and what HTML, and actually knows how to code HTML and CSS and how to use GitHub. Like, they don't know how to do this, so we have to find people that we can actually test in person at the actual site to make sure that they know what they're talking about when they apply.
Is there any response to their answer to that question?
Adam, since that was a second pretty direct attack on me, would you mind if I just responded to that, please? Right, but that's...
So you have a response to their answer to that question?
Yes,
okay,
of course.
So for this, you guys will have 45 seconds to answer that.
I personally think Kasi and Magic have excellent ideas, very inspirational ideas. Well, were they carried out in the past year? Were they? Why don't you guys carry it out when you were in power? Why do you plan on carrying yourself when you're about to transition power? But you might not be president this year. And now you're promising all these things, but why didn't you do it before? I think you guys should reflect on that.
Savage.
So in addition to your failure to actually enact any of these plans in the 5 years that you prided yourself on, to see has offered me positions in the SLT before SLT selection began. So I question the moral of the candidates who say they want to increase fairness in these elections. When presented with that chance, they went and they overstepped their boundaries and they completely threw away the entire process and any sort of justice that could be instilled and any sort of measures that could prevent nepotism. So it seems silly that they would try to actually stop something that they actively encourage. Thank you.
Back to general questions. The next question. 45 seconds to respond to that, and then we'll on to the next question.
Okay, so what I offered him was essentially advocating for him as an SLT alternate in terms of advocating that some areas of Matthew, mainly because I wanted to work with him and I wanted to make sure that we were working together and fighting for student rights together. That's something that I haven't been able to do. I've tried to work with him many times. It hasn't worked. He's refused to work with us. I think it's really important. That's why we're focused on task forces this year, making sure that we're able to really bring in anyone that's ambitious and getting them the resources and the access to the resources of the SU and all the networks it has. That's something we want to give out and we want to work with people on, and it's something we haven't been able to do just because people have been refusing.
SU vibes.
I don't think think that any individual in the SU has the right to use whatever they feel is right to go because they want to do something that they should be able to overstep their constitutional responsibilities. This is exactly what's wrong with the SU. We have SU members who are overstepping any sort of oversight that's already implemented so that they can get what they want accomplished. That's not fair. It's not fair to just do this for your college app, to go out and do whatever you want because it'll help you. We need to consider those students. That's what we're running on. It's the fact that we have a constituency that we're responsible to. And all posts, in Krzysztof's post in the class of 2018 group, you saw how you took these elections as a joke. You started criticizing our campaign. You criticized our campaign for trying to campaign on things we've actually done, to trying to steal credit for things like the sophomore freeze. These aren't issues that we think people should be fighting about. You continue to persist and negatively campaign. That's not simply not what our campaign is about. We're running a positive campaign, and that's what we continue to do.
Bernie Sanders.
Alright, moving back to a more general question for all three of the candidates. What will you be doing about the removal of the AP waiver?
AP waivers. Bring back Damasek Part 2. Bring back AP waivers.
So, as you all know, I'm an observer on the SLT at pretty much every meeting this year. So I can tell you firsthand that the Ms. Zhang has heard the concerns of the students. So right now they're working on an appeals program. So how this is going to work is they're working with the guidance counselor's office so that if the students want to take more APs than they're allowed to go to their guidance counselor, fill out a form, and get the appeals to go through. It's very similar to what we already had in process with the parents. The only difference is this time, rather than going to your parents, we go to the guidance counselor. The idea being that a guidance counselor has better judgment in deciding whether or not a student should take an AP. And Ms. Zhang herself is already sympathetic to individuals who have things like they're forced to take an AP because they have to take the third year of a language, so they're forced to say AP Spanish or AP Mando. So there are already things like that for the most immediate issues. In terms of long term, there's already a process in place that we've been working with Ms. Zhang on, making sure that students can go to their guidance counselors. No one who deserves to have an AP should have that taken away simply because they messed up one year or because they're very good at science and they messed up in English, so now their average is lower. Any student who wants a further education should be able to. That's what Stuyvesant is about. That's what makes the school so great, that students can take whatever they want to do and be great at it. And we want to make sure that under our administration, students can in fact do that.
I guess I see how like failed to communicate this idea to the student body. Constantly on Facebook, my friends, classmates, everyone is worried about this process. It hasn't been communicated to the student body. People aren't aware of it, and they're frantically prompting their friends instead of the student union about what has been done to solve this issue.
Question ready, go.
Okay, so our policy concerning AP waivers would be to involve the PTA, since the PTA can directly link us to parents, and parents are a powerful voice to the school, and because parents can put pressure on the school to get them to influence AP testing policy, and also because since the PTA can be a direct bridge between us and parents, we can use parents to help voice student concerns to the school.
So basically, our platform will closely associate with the PTA, working with parents. Because parents are the key to solving problems.
Right. So the appeals program that Kevin's talking about was mentioned 2 SLT meetings ago by Ms. Penry, and after that, they decided not to do it at the next SLT meeting because there wasn't enough complaints from the students about it. Of course, there's clearly an issue about this, so I think if we bring this up and make it clear that there's actually an issue, we'll be able to solve something. We'll be able to create something to solve the issue. So we're going to create. We're definitely support this. This isn't a promise that we're going to make, but we're going to work to pretty much establish a task force that will work to get AP waivers back, or at least establish an appeals program.
Responses in the same order. Anytime a candidate is called out, they get an extra turn to speak. Maximum of 2 responses per candidate. 1 minute, 30 seconds. Uzinski and Mudra. Ready? Go.
So currently we have the student leadership team. We don't need the PTA to get involved. we want to have a self-contained student government where students coordinate everything. We don't want the involvement constantly of parents and administration. We want to create our own government run by the students for themselves.
Yeah, so while we definitely think it was an innovative idea bringing in the PTA, it's something not talked enough about at our school, so we commend you on that. It's really just not necessary for this issue. Ms. Zhang has been very open to helping the students in regards to AP waivers or whatever policy needs to be to make sure that the students are happy. It was brought up at the last SLT meeting. Ms. Pembroke brought it up briefly about how, again, like Justine said, I will say that they don't feel as large of a concern now because they've already taken measures to expand Ms. Zhang's initial criteria for receiving an immediate waiver, which are things like your average is lowered because of a specific class, or it's lowered because of a specific grade, or you're forced into an AP so you lose a spot. So she's been expanding how much she's willing to give students for granting a waiver on her own. So that's why the importance of the AP waiver program is lessening. But we still are going to continue working with Ms. Pembroke as we have been on finding information on what's going on in the SLT. Thank you.
30 seconds, ready, yeah.
So this is the problem with our school. Everyone is pointing fingers at each other. Don't copy me. This is not how democracy works. The true democracy is when we unite together. We solve problems instead of pointing fingers. Like I'm doing right now. Nice. All three tickets here wish for the best for our school. We shouldn't be fighting like this. We should all be working together, hearing from all of you, deciding what problems to solve, deciding the solutions to our problems, and then end all the problems once and for all.
All right, yeah!
Damn, I should have recorded that.
Amazing.
Why does he keep a straight face?
That is amazing.
This is going to lead to sort of a platform.
It's actually amazing.
How would your ticket benefit us and the rest of the Stuyvesant community better than the others? So you have a minute and 30 seconds to think of the best answer for that question.
It's actually like the greatest speech I've ever heard.
Oh no, not the 19th thing. Yeah, that's you, really. Krzysztof, that's you. Shh.
How would your ticket benefit us and the rest of the Stuyvesant community better than the others? Okay? So 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Too great.
Yeah.
First of all, we're an entirely new voice in the school. Nobody will expect us to run.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
That's the key. We're not career politicians.
Oh no.
We're just regular students. We already did 1,000 interviews in our school, within every grade. It takes a lot of effort, and we plan on continuing to do this after we win. Because this is how a government should work. Leaders should go into the crowds, ask for opinions, ask what the people would need, what the people want. That's how policies should be made. We shouldn't be making up based on what we think, but rather what all of you think. And that's the key.
Damn right.
That's an awesome topic.
So we think that the most important part of our platform is the fact that you can actually believe what we're saying. Looking at what we've done over the course of the year with the sophomore freeze, the automatic paper caliber sensors, working on the homework policy, you know that you can trust us because we've been fighting, even though we don't have something to put down our college app. We're not here because we just want something, we want a special title. We're here because we honestly care. We've never accepted a salary for what we do. We're just here because we want to help the students. Furthermore, when you look at some of our other candidates up here who ran in the past, you see that they promised things like a locker trading system. They promised things like being able to go out on the 5th floor balcony, and have all failed to follow up on their promises. Even though we haven't been in the SU, we've still been doing our best to serve the students, and that's why you know we can actually trust our platform. Furthermore, we want to make sure that we have a long-term solution, which is something that the other platforms don't have, which is we want to reform the Constitution so that we increase transparency and through making sure that we get students involved in the political process. Once you understand what the SU does, they'll have incentive to actually take part in the SU, and that serves as the greatest accountability council that any government can have. And in addition to our long-term plans that no other platform has, we also have short-term plans.
Well, all of our campaigns stress the importance of increasing representation of the student body and the student union. Except all the campaigns up here have failed to mention the absence of women in student, the lack of representation of women in student government. For over 4 years, there have the student union has not been run by a female. And we think
Hannah.
I think this is a great issue because. Oh.
Thank you.
Like Hillary Clinton.
Same question, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Yeah.
So over the course of this year, we've been looking into the problems that have faced the student community for the past X amount of years, as far as I can remember. We really recognize what's wrong, and now we have the plans to fix it. We're willing to get input from all students that are willing and wanting to help us make these reforms. We're also opening up lines of communication with the student forum organizations, as well as other schools around the city. I'm going to use what I learned at Borough Student Advisory Council as its president to align ourselves with the best high schools in New York City so that we can see their solutions to similar problems that we also face. Also, what Tassine and I have is a willingness to contribute to a goal that's larger than our own. It's right that the fifth floor balcony is a project that is going to take potentially many SUs because of such a bureaucratic system that the New York Battery Park City Park Department puts us through. However, we're willing to continue our effort and to contribute to a goal that's larger than either of ourselves. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Tassine and Matthew for going so in depth about their platform, but it raises this question, which is, why didn't they reform before? And why are they only doing it now?
So let's just say the fifth floor platform. I've been hearing it ever since I'm a freshman. Nothing has changed. You can't go outside. People still want to go outside. Nothing has changed. You can't use the excuse of saying it's hard. There's problems. There's obstacles. Well, if it's so hard for you, maybe you should give a chance to someone else. We need to give chances to everyone to participate in student government.
Yeah, we're affirmative action.
It is not a hierarchy. The leaders serve the people, not themselves. If we become president and vice president of our school, there will be no such thing as obstacles. Things will be swift. We will change very fast.
So fast.
And we will not make excuses on all sorts of problems. Because nothing is impossible to achieve if you try your hardest.
That's us. We could not compare to this.
Proudly vote that they've had 5 years of combined experience in the student government. This year they rewrote the Constitution, yet not much has changed. So they're coming up with new ideas that they haven't implemented this year when they rewrote the Constitution. We intend to completely rewrite the Constitution, not simply to rewrite it to make it slightly different